knowing that you are fully supported there, just as Spirit and Source fully support you in your everyday life. And we just breathe in and release, releasing all the cares, concerns that we came in with today. Letting go of anything that keeps us from connecting with our inner Christ consciousness. And we begin by saying thank you. We are grateful. We live in gratitude. We are grateful for all the blessings of Spirit, all the peace and joy and love that is always ours, just a breath away. And so we remember today all of those touched by extreme weather and natural events. We send our love and light to them, knowing that all of the resources are available to them. We hold all those who need healing. We see the highest and best and send healing energy and comfort to them. All those who have lost loved ones. We send comfort their way. And in all this, we say thank you, knowing that we truly are divine, that we have all this always closer than our hands and feet. And so now we spend a few moments in silence contemplating the joy and abundance of our true divinity. And so now we say thank you, God. We live in gratitude. We are grateful. And so it is. Amen. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me here again. I'm so happy to be here today, and I want to thank you for ordering up such perfect weather for me. It was such a joy driving up here. It just felt like today was just for me. I know that's not true, but I know it's for all of us, but it just felt so free and open and clear, and it seemed like there was just no traffic. I know that's impossible, but it was just a wonderful ride up here. I'm Betty Bennett. I'm the worship coordinator at Unity of Phoenix, and I've been there for, I realized I have to update my bio. I've been there actually for a little over 4 years with a break in there. I was there for 3 years, then a 3-year break, and now I'm back a little over a year. And it's just my joy to be on the licensed Unity teacher path. I'm a classmate with your spiritual leader, Lynette. And I'm just sending her healing, love, and energy today. Just knowing that she's perfect, whole, and complete. And just see her just feeling better and better as the day goes on. So, A teacher began her class in the college lecture hall by holding up a $20 bill. There were about 200 students in the hall, and she said to them, "Does anyone want this $20? Well, as you can imagine, everyone raised their hand. She said, "I'm going to give this to someone, but first, let me do this." And she crumpled it up. She said, "Now, who wants this?" Still, all the hands raised. Then she went on and said, "What if I do this?" And she threw it on the floor and ground it in. And then she picked it up all crumpled and dirty and held it up and said, "Now who wants it?" And of course, everyone still wanted the $20. And she said, "You have learned a valuable lesson today. No matter what I did to the money, you still wanted it because it didn't decrease in value. It was still worth $20. I could crumple it, drop it, throw it on the ground, stomp it, and you still saw the value." There are many times in your life when you will be dropped, crumpled, and ground into the dirt by the challenges and decisions that you make. And at times, you may feel as though you're worthless. But no matter what has happened to you, you will never lose your value. Dirty or clean, crumpled or finely creased, you are still priceless to those who love and care about you. So this story points out the worth and value of your life. It's not what you do or what is done to you, but rather it's about the essence of you. You have value just being you. Today we're talking about how to express your true essence, your true self, and how doing that will create the life that you really want. Not the perfect life that we see on the TV shows or in the ads, or not the life that your friends and family want for you, but the full, joyous, abundant life you want for yourself. We're human beings. We know this. And in unity, we know that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And even though we know this, we sometimes get pretty hung up in the human being part, don't we? We seem to constantly critique ourselves, and not always even about what we want. Frequently, we critique ourselves based upon what we think others want us to be or do. Our friends, our families, our co-workers and bosses. And we often fall short, don't we, in this self-evaluation process. Eric Butterworth, my favorite Unity author, said that we are both the inlet and the outlet of the infinite flow of God. He said that Jesus demonstrated that every person is an eachness within the allness of God. We may have a way to go in our spiritual evolution, but the good news is we are all divine. This is exciting. He said, you are not an individualization in God, but rather an individualization of God. So stop trying to get it and just let it. The whole universe is on your side. How great is that? When Paul mentioned Christ in you, the hope of glory, he wasn't talking about Jesus. He was talking about your divinity, your Christ consciousness, Christ in you, your hope of glory. The very good news is not that Jesus alone was divine, but that all human beings are divine. We live in a physical, material world, and that world calls us to relate to each other at a human level. We have human everyday challenges and in relationships and with finances and at work. And we make choices and decisions as human beings. Not in a vacuum, but in the midst of a lot of other human beings who are also making choices and decisions that impact our life. So we're frequently called to be able to change our chosen course, aren't we? How often do things go exactly the way you planned them? What percentage of the time do you think? I think hardly ever do they go exactly the way I planned them. And believe me, I'm a planner. I have a degree and many years experience in strategic planning. And frequently, I receive solutions to problems in my head, full-blown and with lots of steps. And I allow myself lots of time to do pretty much everything. And in that time, I even give myself procrastination time so that my creative process can be working in my head, stewing around while I'm playing a video game or checking my Facebook page. But I have to say, even with all the planning, things don't go as planned with amazing frequency in my life. And so I'm being called constantly to adapt and change. And this is part of the human experience. And sometimes that adaptation isn't fun nor easy. But the good news here is that we are also not only human, but divine. And in that divinity, there is no change. That essence of us, that is that spark of divinity, that Christ consciousness, is eternal, unchangeable, absolute, and always the same. So when the human being shows up angry, the divine shows up as peace. When the human is sad, the divine is joyful. When the human is lacking, the divine is prosperous. And when the human is confused, the divine is wisdom and understanding. The divine is always, hear this, always there within. All we have to do is claim it. You don't have to get it, just let it. There's a 1970s recording called Express Yourself. And in it are these lyrics, pay attention. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you're doing. It's what you're doing when you're doing what you look like you're doing. Express yourself. In other words, it's not what you're doing. It's what you are. Divine. It's not the appearance. It's the infinite possibility. So express your divine self. Where did we ever get the idea that we have to excel in everything? There's a part of us that believes we're not enough, not perfect enough. How many of you will admit to being perfectionists? Or that at least in some aspect of your life you want everything to just be perfect, right? There's at least some of that in most of us. But even our divinity does not call upon us to always perform perfectly. And it doesn't require us to be the best or the brightest or the prettiest or most handsome or the kindest or the cleverest or any est ever. On days when we're cranky and sad, we're God expressing as cranky and sad. You know, I'm pretty sure I recall a couple of stories about Jesus being cranky. Do you remember the money changers in the temple and the tables turned over? And yet we don't question that he was still expressing as Christ consciousness, do we? We are divine. And what can be more perfect than that? And yet, we frequently have guilt and regrets when we're not all of these best and perfect things in our human roles. We have some vague sense that we're meant for greatness, and we are. But in our self-appraisal, we see more littleness than we want to see. Though I don't participate very often in regrets or guilt, or for very long periods of time, I can see where it can be useful. Guilt and regrets are clarifying. They show us what we don't want. And they make us aware that we can do better than we've been doing. So in that way, even they are helpful. And this falls into our belief that God is all and all is good. There's good in everything. But if we are to see and know the divine within us, we can't live in regret and guilt for very long. So we have to feel it and heal it and release it and move on to the next step. You may see yourself as having flunked a test of life, but look less at that and more at your beautiful, caring heart. How do we get in touch with our divinity? Well, the old-fashioned way, by connecting through affirmations, prayer, and meditation, by spending time in the silence and connecting with our source. Anything that puts us in touch with our inner Christ consciousness keeps us in touch with our divinity. And we have to be open and have a big enough container to hold it all. All the truth, blessings, and divine ideas that are there for us to access at any time. Are you ready and open for the blessings of the Spirit? Some of us are standing in a waterfall of blessings with a thimble when we should have a wash tub. Reverend Leilani Burt has a talk she calls How Big Is Your Frying Pan? And in it she tells a story of a man and his son who go fishing frequently. And the father frequently throws fish back overboard. But then he takes others home at night and cooks for dinner. And after this has happened several times, the son says, "Dad, why do you do this? Why do you throw these perfectly good fish over the side? Are you a conservationist?" And he said, "Not particularly, but they're bigger than this, and they don't fit in my frying pan." And then she asks, of course, "How big is your frying pan?" How do we do this? How do we build? How do we stay open? How do we get open enough to receive all of this glorious blessing of Spirit? Practice, practice, practice. Getting in touch with our divinity on a regular basis takes commitment and practice. So set aside some time. If you're not meditating at all, start with 5 minutes a day. As you get up in the morning or before you go to bed at night. If you're meditating 5 minutes, make it 10. If it's 10, make it 15 or 20. And that's how you do it. You get used to it, you enjoy it. You enjoy the presence of the divine. And pretty soon, then you see it and express it all the time. Believe me, once you feel it, you'll just want more. Start looking at yourself in a different light. Instead of investigating your flaws, be on the lookout for what we call goodness. And I say what we call goodness because it's all labels, because it's all good. Look for it inside and out. What you focus on or look for, you will see. It's like listening to a higher tune, a higher calling. What you listen for, you will hear. And do you see the signs of divinity in yourself? Look for it when you listen intently to someone who needs your attention. Or when you don't snap back at someone who's just been unkind. Or when you hold the door for someone at the grocery store. Or when you offer to help someone at work who's just bogged down in a project. Do you see it in others when they let you in at rush hour? When they pick up that credit card you dropped and give it back to you? Or when they hold the door for you? But here's the big question. Do you see divinity in yourself and others when you're cranky? When you're cranky with that customer service rep who just hasn't been kind or polite or even helpful at all? When someone lets the door slam in your face? And when that person at work who gets on your very last nerve comes and does it again? So, what's the key? We have to look at and affirm the possibilities instead of concentrating on the outer appearances. When the bank account shows a 0 on the bottom line, affirm, I am a prosperous expression of God. I have more than enough financial resources to supply all my needs right now. When you've just had a very unhappy encounter with a loved one, affirm, I am a loving, caring expression of God. I do and say the appropriate things and show how much I care through all my thoughts, words, and actions. And when you're so busy, you just don't know how you'll meet all the pending deadlines for the week, affirm, I am a blessed expression of God. And I have enough time, energy, and support to complete everything I have to accomplish this week. Try it. It works. Repeat after me. I am an expression of God.
I am an expression of God.
I have all I need for a healthy, happy, abundant life.
I have all I need for a healthy, happy, abundant life.
Okay, one more time, like you really mean it. I am an expression of God. I have all, okay, sorry. Okay, I am an expression of God. I have all I need for a healthy, happy, abundant life. Okay, now this last time, and really feel it and know it. I am an expression of God. I have all I need for a healthy, happy, abundant life. So, here's the thing. If you continue to put yourself down with guilt and regrets, you will continue to see lack in yourself. You'll feel unworthy and like you're not enough. But we are perfect, whole, and complete, lacking in nothing, just as it says in the first chapter of James. I am an expression of God. I have all I need for a healthy, happy, abundant life. Write it on a sticky. Put it on your mirror or your computer. Say it frequently to yourself or out loud. I saw a quote this week in Reverend Leilani's newsletter. She just was extremely helpful to me this week. And she said, so how am I choosing to express my divinity today? Am I choosing peace, even when those around me are not? Am I going to love and forgiveness when it feels really hard to do so? Will I give voice to what I know is right when I feel outnumbered? And this other quote, there is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and will be lost. So to be divine, you just have to be. Claim it. Connect to your source. You are an artwork of the great master universe. Do great paintings despise themselves, and do they complain that they were painted as themselves and not someone else? No. You are God expressing. So express yourself.